hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I'm going to show you how I made this adorable Lobster Trap Tiered Tray with supplies from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to make the 3 shelves for our tier tray out of these little plastic cathedral frames from Dollar Tree. I think these come in several different colors. Doesn't really matter what color you get because we're going to paint them. And so I looked at these and I thought, a lobster trap. I could make a lobster trap out of those. I know that I could. But I wanted it to be not just decorative. I wanted it to be functional. So I'm going to try to make a lobster trap on its side and make it into a tier tray. So the little cardboard signs pop right off, but they do leave a little bit of hot glue, like residue on there. So I'm just cleaning that up a little bit. And we can start working on the finish on these. These are like a plastic frame on top with the gold and I guess more like a cardboard surface on the back. So the plastic side is going to be the top part of our shelves. And we will add to that for sure because I don't want it to look like the cathedral window. Now there are little hangers on the back of each one of these. I'm just removing those and then putting the screw back into the signs because that screw is probably functional, but I kind of wanted to get just the little hangers out of the way. And then we can start painting this. I want this to look like a weathered wood, something that's been in the ocean, that's been used, been through lots of weather. And so instead of a brown, I want to go with more of a gray look wood is what I want to go for. So I'm just mixing together acrylic paint. I'm using black and ivory until I get a nice shade of gray. I'm trying to mix up plenty because I want to paint both sides of this. Now, I'm going to start on the backs, which are going to be the bottoms of our shelves, to kind of test this technique to see if I can make it look like a weathered wood, so I don't screw anything up too bad. But I'm just painting, all the back, all the little pieces of the stained glass, like inside and the sides as well. And if a little bit of that brown shows through on the other side, it doesn't really matter, but I'm trying to cover up most of the black. Once I get like a nice coat of gray on there, doesn't have to be perfect, the more rustic the better. Just going to give it a quick dry, and then I'm going to go in and distress it. I'm mixing, this is burnt umber and ivory together. I just want like a tan color to bring some of the wood grain in to make it look more like wood. And I'm just using a chunky brush from Dollar Tree and distressing kind of like in one direction, remembering to get the edges as well. And I was happy with that finish. I think it makes it look like a very weathered wood. So that's definitely what we're going to do for our lobster trap. And we can start painting the gold side. I lost a tiny bit of footage here, a little editing snafu, but all I did was start painting them that same gray color. This time I'm going in and getting all the in-between pieces of the little window, which there were lots of little nooks and crannies to make sure that you get. So you're definitely going to need to use a brush for that part. This idea came to me. I really wanted to do something with a lobster trap, but I was like, I really want something for my kitchen as well. And I'm really happy with how this turned out, how it all came together. And I think these are the perfect size. I was looking for something that had a nice arch on it that would look like the shape of a lobster trap. So the 2 sides of the lobster trap are going to make the top and the bottom, and then the middle shelf will be the middle of the lobster trap. Now, for the wood that we're going to use on each one of these shelves, I'm just going to use jumbo popsicle sticks. You could always use what I'm going to use for the rest, which is rulers, but this was cheaper because I'm going to need a lot of them. I'm going to need 15 of the jumbo popsicle sticks, and I get those at Walmart. They're like 1 inch wide. They're pretty big. And what I'm going to do to make them look like weathered wood is to make a stain. So I'm just mixing that gray acrylic that we mixed up and adding it to a bunch of water to make a very like watery paint. It kind of makes it into a DIY stain. Once I get it on there, I'm only doing 5 at a time because I don't want it to dry too much. I wipe it all off with a wet wipe as fast as I can. And you can see it leaves like really random like pieces of wood showing through, which really makes it give it that coastal look. Now, I'm only going to stain the top of these. I kind of wish that I would have stained the back of them because I did the underside of the shelves. I probably should have. I don't know what I was thinking there, but I would recommend that. But nobody's probably going to see it because I have it upright. Now, one other benefit of using popsicle sticks over something thicker is that these are really easy to cut. So I'm just going to measure these. I'm going to have these go across the shelves in the same kind of pattern that they're going to be going across the lobster trap if you had it like laying down. And so I'm just going to need 4 pieces about the same length. The top piece needs to be a little bit trimmed though, with the arch of the top of the window. And then that piece is really going to need to be trimmed. So just kind of cutting where I kind of draw and until I get it where it's going to fit right. I really want to like mask a lot of that fancy design behind it. I just want you to be able to see the wood mostly. And this one definitely is easier with popsicle sticks because I have to do kind of a round cut. And these things are so easy to cut with scissors. And I think that's going to work, so we can start putting this together. I'm just going to use hot glue to glue the popsicle sticks onto the shelf, kind of alternate them out a little bit like decking with a little space in between each one. And the base has like a little bit of plastic back there, so I'm going to kind of use that as like a board itself. And I'm kind of strategically just gluing this one down to try to cover up that pattern as much as I can. I don't really want that to be really obvious. I want that to just kind of be a background and that what you're really going to see looks like a lobster trap. So just using a little bit of hot glue on each spot that the popsicle stick is going to contact. And here is our last one. Now I went ahead and cut out the other 10 popsicle sticks for the other 2 shelves. And I'm just going to use the first one as a guide so that I can make these kind of symmetrical and make sure that I get the little popsicle sticks in the same place on all of them. And these are all going to be the top of each one of my shelves of my tier tray. That's what everything's going to sit on and kind of be visible. And that's why I wish I would have stained the other side of the popsicle sticks because I did such a good job of painting the other side of the shelves, like if you were to lay it down, but that's okay. Now this is what we're going to use for like the structure of the lobster trap. So we need 10 rulers, so 5 of the 2-packs from Dollar Tree. I love using these. They only have like 1 hole in them. They're great, strong wood. You just have to remove the little stickers from them. And they do have a little ridge that comes up on between the stickers there, but we're going to kind of disguise that a little bit when we use them. So 10 rulers, and I don't want the hole to be in there, and so I am going through, and I'm just going to fill them in with spackle. You kind of have to let this dry because it's such a big hole, it's going to want to like fall all the way through. I really wish that I would have had like wood filler because that would be stainable. And we're going to stain these, but I didn't have any, so we're just going to have to do spackle and just do the best we can. It's okay, you know, that coastal rustic look is very forgiving. But I do want to make sure I get as much of the spackle off the rulers as I can because I know that's not going to stain right. And I just try to get those as dry as I can. And we can start staining these. I'm doing the same thing. I'm mixing that gray color that we mixed with acrylic with water and wiping it off with a baby wipe, letting a little bit of wood show through here and there. The areas that I put the spackle were definitely the most challenging, but I just went back and kind of added more stain to those areas. And we're going to do both sides, definitely both sides, because both sides are going to be visible. So I apply the stain, and then I wipe it off with a baby wipe. I'm just doing 5 at a time, because I don't want it to dry too much. I definitely want to go for that stained wood look, not the painted wood look. And we are just about done with these. And I'm going to use some of these whole, and some of them are going to be cut in half. So I'm going to measure the ruler, which is kind of funny. 6 inches, half the ruler, and we're going to cut 4 of them down in half. And I'm just doing that off to the side there with my saw. The reason that some of them are going to be cut in half is because I'm going to have like fishnet for half of the lobster trap, like a real lobster trap would look. So I'm only going to need wood for half of it on the sides. So we've got those all cut down to size, and we can start putting this lobster trap together. I'm going to kind of try to line them up with the pattern that I already have there. And I'm going to use that little side with the notch. I'm going to glue that onto the shelf. So it'll be inside the tier tray. You won't be able to see it. And I'm just using hot glue. You could always use something a little bit stronger, but this did turn out pretty sturdy in the end once we're finished. And as you can see, I'm just kind of going with what I already had on there. Now the last one, the 4th one on the side, is going to kind of overhang. I'm just gluing the tab to the corner, lining that up, and it does overhang the back a little bit, but that's okay, because that's kind of how a lobster trap would probably really look. And so I got one side on the bottom shelf, and then I want to attach the second shelf. So make sure I get the right direction going up, just applying hot glue and gluing those all on at once where the rulers are flush with the top of that shelf. Now, for the last row of the lobster trap that we're going to do, I'm doing a full ruler. That is kind of for structural purposes. If I was doing a real lobster trap, I would keep going with those long ones along the front, but I want the front of the shelves to be open so that I can use it for a tiered tray shelf. So I just glued that to the second and bottom shelf there. And now we can go ahead and glue on the other side. So we're going to have 4 pieces. We're gluing the notches in, so the flat side of the ruler out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. The more kind of irregular this looks, the better, I think. I've been obsessed with lobster traps ever since I saw one in one of my customers' garages. I was like, a lobster trap? Oh my gosh, I need to make a lobster trap. And here we go. So here's the long one, the front piece on this side. Just attaching with that with hot glue. We will go back and reinforce that a little bit later. So this is where we're at right now. And we can keep on building this lobster trap. Let's go ahead and add the back. Now on the back, I'm going to turn it where the notches are going to be behind the shelf. So I'm gluing it with the flat side toward us because that part's going to be visible from inside the shelf, if you know what I mean. So kind of the opposite of what I'm doing on the sides. And we're going to do 4 along the back, just kind of spacing those out and gluing them to those 2 shelves. And now it's time for the top. So I need to glue it to those back 4 and then also to the 2 in front. So I'm just going to do that with hot glue. I'm going to go ahead and do the back first and try to get it in there as square as I can before the glue dries. And then I just have left to attach the 2 front pieces to the top piece. And that's kind of the point of that piece. Since I'm going to have that cutout part for the netting, I really needed a long piece on the sides of the front there just for structural purposes. And it kind of looks cool too, because that's part of what the lobster trap would look like. Now to make them a little bit sturdier, I'm just using some little picture hanging nails that I have and just hammering that in. I kind of wanted to do like a little screw, and I didn't really have anything that wouldn't be visible. So these will provide a little bit of structure, and it kind of adds to the look of a homemade lobster trap as well. They would have nails in them like that. And this is really coming together. We're ready for netting. I'm going to use one of these market bags from Dollar Tree. They're the ombre bags. I really like using these for fishnet, and this is my last one. I'm so sad. I haven't been able to find them recently. But there are other things from the Dollar Tree you can use. They actually have their version of a fishnet, you know, in the summer section. My stores still have that right now. I'm not a real big fan of it because the holes are so big. But if you were to double or like triple it up, kind of overlap it, it would look better. I'm thinking that like this rug, the rug thing that you put underneath your rug might make a good one as well. I think some of my viewers have even used the little lingerie bags from Dollar Tree to make their fishnet. It's whatever you've got. I'm going to use this one. This one's my favorite because when you cut like the ivory part out, I think it looks like a fishnet. The problem is that my opening is a little too big, and so it's only going to cover about half. But, you know, the fishnet should look all crazy and wild, so I'm just going to cut it, glue it, kind of the inside of that front part, and then glue it along the sides. And I'll go back with the other half of that piece, the long skinny piece, and do the other side and just kind of overlap on this side to cover most of the window there with netting. Doesn't have to be perfect. I did think about going in and tying them together, but I think it's fine just like that. Now I'm going to use the other side of the bag. I've also used the pink part of this for Valentine's Day to do like a Valentine's version of a fishing net, so that's always fun. I hope they get these bags in again. I love them. Now on this side, I'm doing something a little bit different. I want there to be an opening. So I'm kind of leaving a gap between my pieces. And using my little extra piece, I'm going to kind of make a hole in it because I want to do like an actual like ring like a lobster trap would have on it. For the like, I guess the lobsters go through that. I need to learn the logistics of the lobster trap. I think so. Maybe they go in it and they can't get out. They get trapped somehow. So I'm going to use one of these wood rings from the Dollar Tree. It's a perfect size. And I'm just going to leave it natural wood like that and just glue the netting to it to make a little opening there on the side of our lobster trap. This has to be one of my favorite DIYs that I've ever made. I just love it. It's so fun. And look at that. We have a lobster trap, just missing the top of the lobster trap, but we did that on purpose because we want this to be functional. It kind of comes out the shape of a Keurig, my Keurig, but I have the perfect place for this in my kitchen. So since we went ahead and built it, I thought we're going to have to decorate it. But first, let me tell you about our Facebook group. I'll post a link in the description below. You need to come join us. The Crafty Beach Moms are mega creative, and you're going to love what they've been making. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest, Crafty Beach on YouTube. So this is the area of my kitchen. It's a small area. I don't really use it for anything, and I thought this would be the perfect decoration there. So I'm kind of showing you what it looks like from the different sides, sitting up like we're going to use it for shelving or a tiered tray, if you will. And I used to have my coffee maker here before I built my coffee bar. So I think this is going to fit perfectly back in here. Now that we have a tier tray, we need DIYs for it. So we're going to do really small DIYs. So I found this at Dollar Tree. It reminded me of a plate. And so I thought we'd make it into a little lobster plate. It's actually even got an easel on the back to make it stand up. So I went to my Cricut and I cut out just a lobster that I found on the Cricut Design Space. And I'm just using Dollar Tree red vinyl. I was very happy with how well this cut because there was like, the legs and the antenna of the lobster were very fine. And the only problem I ever have with that is trying to get it off my mat. But I'm just going to use my paper transfer paper that I love. I get that on Amazon. And I'm going to apply our little lobster in the center of our plate. Now, this isn't a really large tier tray, so our DIYs are going to have to be fairly small to fit. But I'm going to go around the edge of the plate with my red paint pen and just give a red border to the plate just to make it a little bit more colorful. And I love it. Such an easy DIY. I love those little glass plates. They also have them in a rectangle, I believe. And we're just going to put that on this shelf. I think it looks fun. We're going to do a fun little lobster crab theme here with our decorations. Our next DIY, I'm going to use one of these little picture frames from the Dollar Tree. It's got a little clip on it where I thought it would be perfect to hold a menu. And I went on Canva and designed this little catch of the day in the same size that picture frame said to be. And I put fresh lobster on it. So I will share the design for this if you would like to recreate. And all I have to do is simply put it on there. And if I want to change themes on here, how easy will that be to change the little card on front? And I just printed that on cardstock, so it would be a thicker sheet of paper. And that fits perfectly here on our bottom tier. Now, for lobsters and crabs, I got this little lobster with the Fairy Garden collection at Dollar Tree in a package. And then the toy department had these little crabs and lobsters and these little grow creatures. They're very cute little creatures without adding water to them. And they're perfect size for this tier tray. So we're going to use the crab and the 2 lobsters. We're going to do a lobster here in front of the fresh lobster sign. He's so sweet. And maybe a crab up here next to our plate. Kind of stand them up so you can see them. And then I thought the other lobster would be fun. Have him trying to get into the lobster trap, kind of climbing on the fish netting. So I'm just kind of winding his legs in there a little bit so he'll stay. And that side is kind of visible in my kitchen so you'll be able to see him. Now this is from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. It's one of their little jute rope balls. Perfect for this with the coastal feel. And we're just going to put that behind our little catch of the day sign here. Little nautical touch. Don't have to do anything to that one. And then for the last item, I got one of these little crab planters from the Dollar Tree. It's really small and I didn't really want to put a plant in it. So I thought it would be perfect for to hold toothpicks. So it'll be functional as well. So I have a little jar of toothpicks and I'm just going to pop them in the top. And then I'm going to put that on the top shelf of the tier tray, kind of the top of the lobster trap. And isn't he cute? I think he's so adorable. And I think that we need one more thing. So I have a little bit of ruler left over from another project that I cut. And I just cut it down into a rectangular shape. And I thought we would just make a little menu to sit in front of our little lobster plate to make it kind of look like a seafood restaurant. And I'm just painting that with my paint pen because it's so small and red. And fun fact, my husband and I used to own a seafood restaurant in Missouri. So little callback to our past. And then I'm going to use a very fine paint pen in white and just simply spell out the word menu on there. Nothing fancy. But this little menu turned out really cute. And I'm just going to give that a quick dry. And I think that's the last piece for our little Lobster Trap Tiered Tray. We'll put it here in front of the plate. And before our final reveal, I want to give a huge thank you to the following Crafty Beach Bums for sending me super thanks under my videos. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. It's such a quick, easy way to support your favorite creator on YouTube. And also to Beth, Erin, Lynn, and Shelly for buying me a coffee. I always post a link in my video descriptions if you feel like you would like to support my channel. Okay, it's time for the final reveal. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Look ahead, the sea is calm, and I know we've been through a lot, but just wait. Wait for better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. 7 years now on this boat, and we all know